An eel swims toward what looks like the ocean floor and crosses an invisible line. Within seconds, it's dead. Not attacked, not eaten. It entered a lake sitting at the bottom of the sea. A lake with waves. A lake with a shoreline. A lake that preserves everything that falls into it like a sealed jar. These places are real. They exist right now, and there are far more of them down there than anyone has mapped. These are brine pools. Underwater lakes formed when ancient salt deposits dissolve and the resulting liquid becomes so dense it sinks and stays. They don't mix with the surrounding ocean. They have their own surface, their own shoreline, their own chemistry. They've been killing everything that crosses them for millions of years, and in doing so, they've been quietly preserving a record of life on this planet that nothing else on Earth can match. This is what lives, dies, and survives inside them, and what that tells us about life beyond this world entirely. In 1993, researchers lowered an ROV into the Mediterranean, nearly 3,500 meters, 11,500 feet below the surface. What appeared on the screen looked like a shoreline, a shimmering, mirror-like boundary stretching across the seafloor like a calm lake at night. No current disturbing it. No fish anywhere near it. The team thought the equipment had malfunctioned. It hadn't. What they were looking at was a completely separate body of water sitting silently inside the ocean with its own surface and its own rules. The most counterintuitive fact about brine pools is that the ocean cannot touch them. Millions of years ago, ancient seas evaporated and left behind vast salt deposits buried beneath layers of seafloor sediment. Over time, seawater seeped through, dissolved those deposits, and the resulting brine, liquid up to 8 times saltier than the ocean, became too heavy to rise. It pooled in depressions on the seabed and simply stayed there, a permanent body of water sitting inside another body of water that the ocean cannot mix with or move. Every brine pool is completely anoxic, zero oxygen. Any creature that crosses the halocline, the invisible boundary between normal seawater and the brine below, enters a space where cells begin to rupture almost immediately. The salt pulls water out of living tissue faster than any toxin could act. Researchers have found rings of dead shrimp and fish piled at the halocline's edge, animals that got close enough to feel it but not close enough to turn back. Those rings accumulate over centuries. The pool doesn't erase them. It holds them exactly where they fell. In the Gulf of Mexico, around 1,000 meters, 3,300 feet down, there is a brine pool that NOAA researchers nicknamed the Jacuzzi of Despair. Roughly the size of a tennis court, it reaches temperatures near 65 degrees Celsius, 150 degrees Fahrenheit at its vent edges, hot enough to scald, while also being anoxic and 5 times saltier than the surrounding ocean. Eels have been filmed swimming directly into it on camera, slowing, losing coordination and dying before they can reverse course. The name, it turns out, undersells it. When a brine pool fills past its rim, the overflow doesn't dissolve into the surrounding ocean. It's too dense. Instead, it pours over the edge like a waterfall and flows across the seafloor as a slow, invisible, toxic river. No oxygen, enough salinity to end anything it contacts. ROV footage from a 2015 Nautilus expedition captured this in real time in the Gulf of Mexico. Biologist Eric Cordes described watching entire ecosystems downslope go silent as the overflow reached them. A river with no color, no sound, and no survivors. In 1965, a research vessel crossing the Red Sea detected water at nearly 68 degrees Celsius, 154 degrees Fahrenheit, more than 2,200 meters, 7,200 feet below the surface, one of the hottest naturally occurring bodies of water on Earth. The pool, named the Atlantis II Deep, after the ship that found it, also contains an extraordinary concentration of heavy metals: zinc, copper, silver, and gold. Some estimates place the total mineral value at over $2 billion, sitting completely untouched on the ocean floor. Untouched not because it's protected, because nothing can reach it and survive. In 1993, a research team lowered an ROV into the Latoland Basin in the Mediterranean to collect samples from the pool's edge. The ROV's electrical systems began malfunctioning the moment it entered the halocline. The team pulled it back, waited, and tried again. What they eventually recovered from the pool's edges changed the understanding of where life on Earth can exist. and left open a far more uncomfortable question about what might be surviving inside the pools that haven't been properly explored yet. In 2010, Roberto D'Annavaro's team published findings that many biologists rejected outright. Working with samples from l'Atalante, they identified 3 new species of Loricifera: tiny multicellular animals, living, reproducing, and dying inside completely anoxic brine. No oxygen. Not a trace of it. These were the first multicellular animals ever documented surviving without it, drawing energy from hydrogen sulfide in the pool's chemistry instead. The discovery didn't just expand the definition of where life can exist. It rewrote the definition of what life requires to function at all. The strangest part isn't the pool itself, it's what lives around it. No sunlight reaches this far down. No photosynthesis. No plants. And yet there are entire ecosystems here, tube worms meters long, ghostly white crabs, colonies of mussels, all running on a completely different energy source. Instead of sunlight, they run on chemistry. Hydrogen sulfide leaking from the seafloor feeds bacteria. Bacteria feed everything else. It's a parallel biosphere. A second version of life on Earth, built on completely different rules, that has been running for millions of years without us knowing it existed. If life can do this here, the question of where else it can exist just got a lot more complicated. Because brine pools contain no oxygen, they don't just end life, they preserve it. Anything that sinks into the brine is sealed off from the bacteria and fungi that cause decay. Dead fish, whale bones, and sediment from thousands of years ago are found in near-perfect condition. One pool in the Red Sea contained intact sediment layers from ancient tsunamis, recording geological events with more precision than almost any other natural archive on the planet. The rings of creatures around every pool form what scientists call a natural museum, centuries of death, perfectly catalogued. Most deep-sea surveys don't cover enough ground at high enough resolution to detect brine pools, which means the true number in existence is genuinely unknown. What researchers have confirmed is that every major ocean basin appears to contain them, and new ones are found every few years in regions previously assumed to be bare sediment. In 2020, a survey near the Eniom site in the Red Sea found a previously undocumented pool 10 times saltier than the surrounding ocean, surrounded by perfectly preserved sea creatures. The l'Atalante Basin was invisible on every chart until 1993. There is no scientific reason to assume we are close to finding them all. NASA scientists studying brine pools have described them as the closest analogue on Earth to conditions believed to exist on Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. Europa likely has a saltwater ocean beneath its frozen surface, possibly containing pockets of hypersaline water with chemistry nearly identical to what exists in our own deep sea. If multicellular life evolved inside our brine pools without oxygen, the same logic that once made that impossible now makes the same thing happening on Europa considerably harder to rule out. We found the template. We just don't know yet where else it's been used. The Jacuzzi of Despair is not an anomaly. The conditions that create brine pools, ancient salt, deep pressure, seeping water, exist almost everywhere the deep sea floor has been properly examined. The animals found living inside them are not surviving despite the conditions. They evolved specifically for them in a world that existed long before anything on this planet breathed oxygen. Whatever lives in those pools didn't adapt to survive. It was there first, in the dark, at the bottom of a lake that the ocean doesn't know about.